All right, welcome to today's lesson, and we're just going to hit the ground running. I have this first question for you right here. We're not going to waste any time, but we're talking about collocations in English. So these are words that are frequently used together. So how would you complete this sentence right here? If you don't answer this question, I might into tears. Okay, I'll give you a moment to think about it, and then I'll tell you the answer and talk a little bit about it and share some other example sentences with you as well. So what do you think? How would you complete this sentence? And this is a collocation. So the answer, I hope that you said, would be the verb burst. All right, I might burst into tears. So this is a verb-noun collocation. And here are some other examples down here, like last night he burst into tears, or we were laughing so hard we burst into tears. One thing to keep in mind when talking about the verb burst, in the simple present, burst, simple past, burst, and the past participle is also burst. Burst, burst, burst. Just keep that in mind. So I mentioned that today we're going to talk about collocations. This is a great way to build your vocabulary. It's important to know which words are frequently used together because that's really going to help your overall fluency. Sometimes I notice people will use an adjective with a noun that it's like, okay, those aren't really commonly used together. And then I would say, okay, probably this would be a better word to use. So these are great phrases to know. And we are going to begin. Oh, and I'd like to say, if you like building your vocabulary, please subscribe and turn on notifications so that I can become your teacher. That is what I would like to do. I would like to help you build your vocabulary. And also, if you would like to get a copy of these lesson notes, all of these collocations, check out that link down in the description. I will also throw it right there in the chat. And we're going to start with some verb-noun collocations, like the other one that I just gave you, burst into tears. The next question is this right here. All right. How are you going to? These will range from more intermediate to advanced phrases, which is why I said this is like B1 to C2 vocabulary, more intermediate to advanced in that range. So I really want you to attention. And this is something that, yeah, I would say to you, pretty much any learner, if I were teaching them, and say, okay, I really want you to attention. When you're talking about the noun attention, frequently you're going to use it with the verb pay. All right. See a lot of great answers. I really want you to pay attention. And I also would like you to participate in the lesson. Write your answers in the chat or even in the comments if you're watching this later. So this is a very useful collocation, talking about paying attention. He has difficulty paying attention. Are you paying attention? Often I think people may end up using this in the continuous tense because they're talking about right now, in this moment. Like, hey, are you listening? Are you paying attention? Great phrase to know. The next one is this one right here. Okay? I'm going quickly. I'm going to go through these quickly. I have great news. We're a baby. All right, what verb are you going to use with that noun? All right, we're talking about, I'm giving you the noun, which is a baby. What verb are you going to use? I have great news, we're a baby. And this is a word, this is a phrase that I'm sure you've heard, TV shows, movies, maybe you've have friends and you've been in this situation. So the correct answer is have. All right, we're having a baby. Now, I will say that there may be more than one answer with some of these. It's not like this is the only verb that you can ever use with the noun. That is true. I see some people putting expecting. That is also a verb that you can use. We're expecting a baby. However, the only thing I would say is I think in this context, if you're talking to someone, I think they're probably more likely to use the verb have. That being said, there is nothing wrong with saying expect. We're expecting a baby. Often I feel like if you were to use the expect, I feel like people might use that one more in a question, like, "Oh, are they expecting a baby? Are you expecting?" So again, there is more that there may be more than one answer, and I'll keep that in mind as we go through this. But a lot of great answers, perfect. Here's another one, and this one it's a common noun. You're talking about a presentation, and sometimes I hear people use different verbs with this one. But yesterday he a great presentation. So what answer, what verb would you use when you're talking about a presentation? And I'm trying to give you that picture, thinking, okay, it's happening. It happened yesterday. There he is right there. He a great presentation. So this is the answer. All right, excellent. Going through these. Perfect. I don't think this one, maybe it wasn't as difficult. The answer is gave. All right, to give a presentation. Yesterday, he gave a great presentation. Again, if you want to be real technical, the answer, it should have been in the past tense. I saw a lot of those answers in the past, which is perfect. So here's some more example sentences. When are you going to give your presentation? Or right now, in the continuous tense, she's giving a presentation on human rights. To give a presentation. Excellent. Then we have this one, which I think it may be a little trickier. I feel like every time I say that, everyone gets the right answer. The crash, a lot of damage to our car. So you can see the damage right there. So the noun is damage. What verb are you going to use before that noun? To damage. The crash, a lot of damage to our car. So what do you think? Write your answer in the comments, in the chat. I just want you participating. All right, this is interactive English. This is a time to participate, be a part of these lessons. So I would say, again, this is another one. There's more than one answer. So what I was going for in this case was to do damage. The crash did a lot of damage to our car. But you could also use the verb cause. Something causes damage. I gave you some more example sentence down there. Did the storm do damage to your home? You could replace that with cause as well. Did the storm cause damage to your home? Or this is a statement that you may hear. The damage has been done. And in this case, somebody's talking about, well, look, it's too late to change what happened. The damage has been done. And we're using it in the present perfect. So you're using the past participle. In that case, if you're saying this as an expression, you would not replace that with cause. You would just say, hey, the damage has been done. We can't change the past. We just have to move forward, but the damage has been done. Something to keep in mind. The next one, okay. You really need to a decision. So for this one, again, I would say there are a couple of different verbs that you could use. To give you a hint, I'm letting you know I am from the United States. So in the United States, it's more common to use a certain verb. What do you think? This is a slight little difference between American English and British English, because either one is correct, but the answer, again, I'm from the United States. People are going to use make when talking about a decision. This is the preferred verb. In British English, I think it's very common. People would say take a decision. Both of them are perfectly okay. I'm using make because, like I said, I'm from the US. This is typically what I would say. So you really need to make a decision. And then using it in a question up there, have you made a decision, or she really makes quick decisions? So the next one that we have, she's not good at secrets. She's not good at secrets. Think about that picture right there. What verb are you going to use when talking about secrets? So I think there's one that's very common. She's not good at secrets. The verb that I hope that you are thinking of is the verb keep, to keep a secret. So keeping, I think, awesome. You guys were using it, again, in that context. You're not good at doing something. Now, in this case, I'm using it as a gerund, which is technically a noun, but still the collocation remains the same, to keep a secret. She's not good at keeping secrets, or somebody could ask you the question, can you keep a secret? Or somebody say, hey, we shouldn't keep secrets from each other. All right, let's move in to some adjective-noun collocations. And this time, we're going to switch it up. So before, I just gave you the blank, and I wanted you to complete the sentence. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of a hint. I'm going to give you a synonym for the missing adjective. So, I don't know. I think maybe this will make it maybe this will make it easier. I thought maybe it was going to be pretty difficult, so I wanted to give you that information. But here is the first one. I'm going to take a shower. All right, what adjective would you put in there that really it has the same meaning as short time? So once again, we're talking about a shower. This is our noun. You're going to use that with the verb take, to take a shower. But if we want to be a little more specific, which is what adjectives really help us do. They're very descriptive. We can talk about a quick shower. Excellent. I'm going to take a quick shower. If I were to say this, though, I would reduce going to gonna. I'm going to take a quick shower. I'm going to take a quick shower. And this is not something, it's not something I like to do. I like taking nice long showers. That's just me. Then we have this one. I think this is a little more difficult because this phrase is not as commonly used. The Titanic sank on its voyage. So voyage is our noun, and the adjective, the meaning of it is the first attempt. You're talking about the first attempt at something. Specifically, it has to do with sailing, sailing a ship. You're talking about a voyage, that trip. So maybe, I'm guessing if you've seen the movie Titanic, I'm sure this phrase is used in that movie. I don't know if you would remember it. The Titanic sank on its voyage. When we're talking about a ship, and the ship is going, to go on a voyage, you might use it, you might be more descriptive and use this adjective. All right, I see one answer. Just be careful with spelling. We're talking about the maiden voyage. So the Titanic sank on its maiden voyage. This is the first trip that a ship will take. And you could refer to that as its maiden voyage. We were on the cruise ship's maiden voyage, or the yacht completed its maiden voyage. So I think when you're talking about voyage, this is a word that's commonly used. Of course, there are words that are similar in meaning, like I saw some answers like inaugural. I feel like if you're going to use like inaugural, you might more commonly use that with the noun trip, like the inaugural trip. But in this case, voyage, I think it's pretty common to say maiden voyage. So hopefully with this one, maybe you learned a new phrase. The next one, and this also, there are two different adjectives that you could use. If somebody says, shh, the baby is asleep. And it has the same meaning as deep. What do you think? There are two different adjectives that I think people might commonly use. So I imagine you probably can guess both of them. And again, this is a great way to build your vocabulary, being very more specific, talking about, well, the type of sleep. And the two that I was thinking, the answer that I put was sound asleep. But fast is also another adjective that you could use when talking about the noun asleep. I even included it down here in one of the example sentences. So I could also say, I was sound asleep when the alarm went off. You're in that deep sleep. Or it was noisy, but I was fast asleep. All right, you're in that deep sleep. So both of those are commonly used when talking about the noun asleep. The next collocation, which is one that I think this may be a little more challenging, but also I think it's one that you may hear from time to time. So it's probably not as common to talk about like maiden voyage, because that specifically would refer to a ship. But in this case, we're talking about an obligation. We have a obligation to protect the planet. I think if you're an environmentalist, then you would definitely agree with this. The missing adjective has the same meaning as, well, virtuous. Virtuous would be a synonym for this. Okay? What do you guys think? We have a obligation to protect the planet. So the answer is, and I think I see some good answer. Excellent. So we're talking about a moral obligation. You have a moral obligation to do something. This is a common collocation when you're talking about that noun obligation. So I could also use it in these examples down here. There's a moral obligation to tell you the truth. Or I have no moral obligation to help you. But in this case, again, we're talking about a moral obligation. This is one, I think there probably may be a few different adjectives you could use, because there are many words that have the same meaning as, like, well, very bad. But we're talking about the noun pain. He was in pain after the fall. What word do you think would you use before that noun pain? He was in pain after the fall. And I think, all right, excellent. A lot of you are getting this one, kind of checking the spelling, because it is a longer word. So we're talking about, the answer that I was looking for was excruciating. And the reason why I chose this specifically is because there are not many times where you're going to use the adjective excruciating. It's very descriptive. But when you do use this adjective, I think you're frequently going to follow it with that noun, excruciating pain. But again, there were some other great answers, the other words that you could put: severe pain, great pain. There are quite a few words that you could use, but just keep in mind, if you want to say something hurts, really badly, you could say you are in excruciating pain. So it's really emphasizing that word. The next one, he always looks like he's in thought at the office. I think this one's probably a little easier. So the word is a synonym for profound. And I think even just thinking about that, a synonym for profound, gives it away right there. But we're talking about the noun thought. He always looks like he's in thought at the office. He always looks like he is in deep thought at the office. I gave you some more examples here. She was in such deep thought, or I paced around in deep thought. And you may often use the preposition in before this collocation to be in deep thought. So that is a phrase that is commonly used with this collocation. All right. Now, okay, I think there's another one. And this one's a good one, at least I think. So sometimes I'll give my boss some criticism. So the noun is criticism. What adjective are you going to put before this noun? And it means the same as worthwhile. So this is, I don't want to give it away. This is a great phrase for when it comes to business English. I think a useful collocation, because I think sometimes we need to give criticism. We need to offer some criticism. But there's a specific type of criticism, and that's what I'm getting at. So the answer is constructive criticism. So I mentioned this is great for business English because it's not good to criticize someone, but I think it's fair to give some constructive criticism that's going to help the other person improve. If you guys have any constructive criticism for me, you can write that down in the comments. I would say I'm open to receiving constructive criticism, or please offer some constructive criticism. Nowadays, I think on online, YouTube, yeah, typically you just get some criticism. Sometimes it's not very constructive. So let's look at some adverb-verb collocations. And this, I think, is a little more challenging because we're talking about adverbs. That is the missing word. And now I'm not going to give you a synonym, but I'm going to maybe give you a few letters to try and help you think of the adverb and come up with the adverb. So let's just get right to our first one. I was waving to get their attention. I'm giving you 3 letters, and all of those other blanks, those should be letters. So this is a longer word. I was waving to get their attention. When talking about the verb wave, what adverb may be used with it? So, and with these adverbs, again, you can use them in different places. I think this is the only one that I've put after the verb. The other examples, they're going to be before the verb. But I was waving, nice, got some answers, perfect. Frantically, I was waving frantically to get their attention. Or you were waving frantically to get some help. Or he waved his arms frantically to stop traffic. If you are unfamiliar with the word frantic, it means kind of in a very emotional, kind of panicking way. So if you're doing something frantically, you're doing it quickly, you are perhaps panicking a little bit. So if somebody's waving frantically, they really are trying to get someone's attention. The next one, this time it's coming before the verb. We're talking about the verb remember. She remembers what happened. So I'm giving you four letters in here, the AG and the LY at the end. The LY is not much of a hint because many of these adverbs, these are adverbs of manner, and many of them end with LY. So the answer, all right, that we're looking for, perfect, is vaguely. She vaguely remembers what happens. So vaguely means that just a little bit or not much. So in this time, if you say that you vaguely remember something, you don't remember it well, or you don't remember much of this thing. So I could say, I vaguely remember seeing the movie. Like, I don't recall going there that evening. Or we vaguely remember our first date. Like, where did we go? What did we do? That you just don't remember much. You vaguely remember something. Another adverb that you can use with the verb remember is this one right here. It's kind of the opposite of vaguely remember. And you could use this adverb. I remember what he told me. So again, I'm giving you those 3 letters in the middle of the word, and everything else is blanked out. So how would you complete this sentence right here? And I gave you a hint. It's pretty much the opposite of when you vaguely remember something. In this case, well, I don't want to. I keep talking. I feel like I end up giving away the answer or giving away hints. So, all right, excellent. Some great answers. Perfect. So this one the answer is distinctly. All right, you see that TIN in the middle of the word. You distinctly remember something. It means that you clearly remember what happens. You definitely remember this thing. I distinctly remember what he told me, or I distinctly remember what she wore, or we distinctly remember our first date. All right, just changing that sentence from before. So those are some great collocations with the verb remember. If you don't remember something, you could say I vaguely remember it, or if you definitely remember it and it's very clear in your mind, you could say I distinctly remember. The next one is with the the verb priced. All right. The computer is priced. What adverb are you going to use? And I've given you kind of part of the beginning of the word, that EAS. So I think when you're talking about the way something is priced, you may commonly use this adverb, in which case you are saying that it's fair, that you don't have a problem with it. Again, maybe I'm giving you some of these hints because I see some great answers, because you would say it's reasonably priced. Here are some other examples. The meals were reasonably priced, or I think that the car is reasonably priced. Now, these sentences, you see, they're all written in the passive voice. So again, I'm using the past participle. Something is priced. It's reasonably priced. And I think when talking about something being reasonably priced, often you may find this used in passive sentences, because you don't really need to say, well, who the agent is, who is the person doing the action. In this case, the computer is reasonably priced. I assume that we know it's the store that came up with the price, that's selling the computer. Then we have this one. It's not a good situation if this happens. He forgot her birthday. And I feel like you probably are going to guess this one, because I think it's common when talking about the verb forgot. And you would use this adjective, or this adverb, to, well, it would give emphasis to that verb, that situation. Like, oh, if you're apologizing for something and like, I forgot. So he forgot her birthday. I gave you a few letters, even though I don't think you really needed these letters to guess that the answer is completely. He completely forgot her birthday. So if you want to, again, emphasize the fact that you forgot something, and again, I feel like you would use this, especially if you were perhaps apologizing for something, like, oh, I completely forgot about the meeting. I'm so sorry. Or she completely forgot to sign her name. In this case, it was a mistake. Then you have this one, all right? And maybe I'm wrong when I say this, but just as an example, using this adverb-verb collocation, I doubt that you got all these correct, or that you got all of these right. I doubt that you got all of these right. But I feel like since many of you are just spot on with your English, and you get so much exposure, listening, reading, you're familiar with the words that are often used together. So maybe this quiz was a bit easier for you. So we're talking about the verb doubt, to doubt. I doubt that you got all of these right. So with the verb doubt, I think an adverb that is often used is seriously. I seriously doubt that you got all of these right. Here's some other examples with this. We seriously doubt that it happened, or I seriously doubt the earth is flat. All right? I seriously doubt it, even though, I don't know, maybe then in that case, it's like you're saying there's a very, very, very small chance. But again, when you're talking about the verb doubt, if you want to give it a little bit of emphasis with these adverbs and adjectives are great for emphasizing verbs and nouns. You could say that you seriously doubt something. So again, if you want to get a PDF copy of these lessons, you get all of these collocations. You can join our email community. Click on that link down in the description just to try and do a little bit of review off the top of my head. If you don't, click on that link and join our email community, then I might burst into tears. But I'm confident that you are going to make the right decision and join me on your English learning journey, because in the future, I'm going to keep putting out new lessons, and I'm going to try to give you the best presentation that I can if I'm talking about vocabulary or grammar. And obviously I would not say that you have a moral obligation for watching these videos or even hitting the like button. But that's something that I always ask you to do. I asked you this lesson, and I distinctly remember asking you in the last lesson to also hit the like button. And I know it's okay. Some of you may be thinking, look, I'm sorry, I completely forgot. I understand that happens. But once again, please hit that like button. I hope that you make the right decision. And I really hope that you learn something new, because I can tell just by the level of participation in this class that you were really paying attention. So I really can't think of any more ways to use these again, unless I were to say, okay, I got to go. I'm going to go take a quick shower. So I'm going to wrap things up. Thank you guys for joining me today. Again, these are very useful phrases to know. It's a great way to build your vocabulary. Thank you, Rafaela, Lali, Takayao. Give some shout outs because I wasn't able to do it during the class. Loredana, Vicky, Gustav, thanks for being here and joining. Ava, Hashir, Julia, Alex. Thank you, Danny. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. I'm just going to wrap things up, and I will